Today is May 15th, 2024, and today is a little bit different. Gabby actually beat me to the shop today, and she's been working on articles and the pieces in her sandbox. I was handling a client away from the office here, so more on that a little bit later. I have a special announcement to make today, but I'll get to that in a bit. For now, I want to tackle this commission. My goal today is to get the shape and the details of this figure done. That way tomorrow I can do the assembly build of the character. It's no longer like a question of what this character looks like. It's going to be a question of how this character actually gets printed together. But more on that special announcement later, and I'm going to get to work. She's going to get back to work. Yeah. So it seems that late is the word of the day. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I got some stuff done. I touched the sculpt that I wanted to touch. I wanted to jump into that, which is ironic because this was a project that I was avoiding and just hesitant to jump into because of the anatomy and the humanoidness of it, where now I can't wait to sink my teeth into it, and I find myself distracted by other things, or not really distracted, but occupied. There are things in life happens that sometimes that's just the way it goes. I did get some good work done. I'm not upset about how the day went. I touched the sculpt, I made some progress, I learned some more about anatomy, hands and feet, and I feel really good. I didn't get to where I wanted to get to, and I'm now realizing I'm in the detail part of this sculpt, which is going to take longer. Naturally, it's just getting the details right, and the nitpicking comes into play. So it's natural that this is going to take longer than I wanted it to take. The announcement that I was talking about this morning, I mentioned that I was handling a client this morning, and that is because I am a behavioral coach in addition to 3D modeling my figures. This is something that I do as well, and it coincides with articles. This is something that I've been wanting to kind of make a video on anyway, because I would like to explain why in my handles on social media that I put playing with the art of acceptance. And that has to do everything with these guys, these articles. Art that tickles you, and I'll explain why. As a behavioral coach, I help people get from where they are to where they envision themselves to be. And the way I do that is by helping them see things from a different perspective. See, when you look at this, you don't know what's going on, and you put all kinds of assumptions to it. And it's not until you look at it from multiple angles on the bottom, the name is printed there, that you see it now in a different light. You know what's going on, and you're able to approach things differently. You're able to approach not just this one, but other figures that look similar in a similar way. You pause and you reflect on what this one taught you. This is a figure that causes you to change your perspective in order to figure things out. That is what I mean by playing with the art of acceptance. You get to a point where you see things for what they are. It is what it is, quite literally. How I got to this point is through my transition from military to civilianhood. I transitioned from the military in 2014. And since then, I've been trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life going forward. In the military, that was show up, follow orders, do what you're told. And there you go. I mean, sure, it's hard, yes, but it's simple. And when I got out, I lacked that direction. I lacked someone giving me orders throughout the day. I lacked the direction, the clear reason to wake up in the morning. And for about 3 years there, I struggled to find that direction. I struggled to find what is my reason for waking up in the morning? What is my order? What is my task for the day? And I looked to fill that in some way. That caused me to say yes to opportunities and try things out and explore places and things that I had never done before. I said yes to things, and one of those things that I said yes to was becoming a personal trainer through an organization at the time called FitOps. Now, FitOps takes veterans who have transitioned or are transitioning and helps them to become personal trainers, certified personal trainers, so that they can take their knowledge of physical training that is so useful and prevalent in the military and use that to help people and make an impact and a difference in people's lives. That sounded like right up my alley. I was looking for a purpose. I was looking for fulfillment. I was looking for a reason and some way to transfer my skills from the military to the civilian world. I went through this organization. I became a personal trainer. And while there, I actually injured myself briefly to the point where I had to sit on the sidelines and couldn't participate in the physical activities. That turned out to be one of the biggest blessings that was ever bestowed on me, because I didn't participate physically, but I did participate through the lens in which I'm looking now. This camera I had brought with me to camp, and I discovered that I had a knack for photography. I liked editing photos, and I liked looking at the world through a lens and framing shots just right and capturing moments. That seemed to speak to me. After the camp, I actually pursued not physical personal training, but creative endeavors. I searched for a way how I can use this camera because it spoke to me creatively. I didn't know how I was going to make an impact yet. That was something I was still looking for and searching for. I knew that though when I pointed the camera at someone's face, they lit up, they smiled, I was making a difference, and people said I had a good eye for it. So I was happy about it, and that felt like I was doing something. It emotionally uplifted me, and thankfully I healed from that injury, no problem, and I took this camera and I started exploring all kinds of creative endeavors. I went for photography, photo editing, then transitioned to videography, shot videos for things, then switched from videography to doing motion graphics briefly, and then from motion graphics wanted to do still graphics. That led into logo design, which led into like brand identity and learning all about that. Now this has all been years later after the camp. That all led me to 3D modeling, what I do today. Now, as much as I love making a character that comes from my imagination to the paper, to the screen, to holding it in my physical hand, I think that's magic. That is just the definition of like creativity. It did not exist before I made it exist. It's physical, it's in my hand. That to me is magic. That is a clear definition of magic. It scratches that itch, that desperate yearning to do something that I enjoy, that I'm passionate about, that I want to do. The only thing that 3D modeling in itself does not do is guarantee that I have a deep emotional impact in the lives of those around me. 3D modeling in itself, creating a shape, making it come to life on the screen, even 3D printing it, it's a process and it's fun and I enjoy it. However, there seemed to be something that was missing. There was an element of fulfillment, an element of purpose, an element of impact that I was missing. Now, at the time of discovering I had a passion for 3D modeling, it was something that I never pursued as a kid. I talked myself out of it, and as an adult, here I am exploring things, and I found it. I picked it up and I just love this. Now I was looking for the why. Like, why do I do this? Not necessarily just for me. It's fun for me. I just desperately wanted to do something that had an impact on the world, that I felt there was a calling to. Lo and behold, around the same time I was really falling in love with 3D modeling, I get contacted by VFF, Veterans Future Foundation. It is the organization that FitOps has evolved into. Veterans Future Foundation offered the opportunity for me to go back and become an integrative health coach. Integrative health coaching is not focused strictly on the physical side. It is focused on that and more, the mental, emotional, spiritual health of an individual. And that spoke to me. Becoming an integrative health coach really spoke to me. That was the impact that I was missing. And at the same time, I had already fallen in love with holding a stylus and bringing a character to life and holding it in my hands. I was struggling. I was at a crossroads. I wanted to know how I was going to connect this passion with integrative health coaching. And it wasn't until after I got on camp where I entered my training to become an integrative health coach that it just became clear. The first step in changing your behavior is to notice something and look at it in a different way. It is to change your perspective. It is to see things differently. And that is what articles get you to do. It's art that tickles you. Something that causes you to pause and reflect on what you know and requires you to look at things differently in order to understand them. That, in a nutshell, is essentially what I do as an integrative health coach, as a behavioral coach. I change perspectives to help people get from where they are to where they want to be. And now I have that purpose. Now I have that assured feeling of impact that I'm making on someone's life. When I speak to a client, like I was this morning, I definitely feel that through the coaching, I am making that deep personal impact on someone's life and helping them through the process of change, which is hard, which is difficult. Getting to a place of acceptance is one of the hardest things that we humans have to do. And this little character here, amongst his little comrades, is the first introduction to the art of acceptance. It gets you to practice that art with a smile. It's difficult to master, and once you get the hang of it, and hopefully it makes you laugh, you get a taste for more of it, and you want to, and you are encouraged to keep going and practicing that art of acceptance. That's why I use the phrase playing with the art of acceptance. That's literally what I encourage people to do. I invite people to do when they come to my booth is play with the art of acceptance. That's what these represent. Now, it's obviously not apparent that that's what I'm doing when I'm at a booth. To most people, it's just a guessing game. In reality, to me, I know that I'm making an impact. At the very least, I'm making people smile and laugh and have a good time and get people to look at things differently. And that, to me, is enough impact for me to feel satisfied at the end of the day. I enjoy what I do, and I know that I'm having at least that much impact on the world. And I meet so many smiling faces, and I have so much fun making these things, and I have so much fun introducing people to these characters and seeing all those aha moments, those clicks, those moments where it's just like, oh, like an epiphany just struck. That is what I live for. That is, to me, making that impact, and I have that purpose, and I wake up with that every day now. That is something I would not have had, and it wouldn't be as concrete and solidified in my mind if it weren't for the Veterans Future Foundation. So that brings me to that special announcement that I was talking about earlier. Right now, an organization called Guaranteed Rate is running a fundraiser for 9 military-oriented nonprofits, such as VFF being one of them. And they are running a fundraiser where they match your donation 2-to-1. So if you donate $5, they donate $10 for a total of $15. I mean, talk about a deal right there. My ask of you, dear viewer and dear listener and participant in the game of articles, is if I have ever made you smile, laugh, or caused you to look at things differently, have made any kind of sort of small or big impact in your life, I ask that you go and donate. They are changing the lives of veterans like me, like you, like someone you may know. It matters, and it's a big deal. It's enough for me to stay late today and tell you about it because it is such a big deal. It's powerful. It is deep, moving change, and so many veterans who are struggling with the transition to civilianhood desperately need organizations like VFF. So please, I'll put a link in the description wherever I post this video. I'll put name here on the screen. I'm sure you'll see it in the edit. I'll get to that. Please go check them out. Donate. Tell all your veteran friends. If you're a veteran yourself, I encourage you to check out Veterans Future Foundation. They empower and support veterans who are transitioning to civilianhood and assist you with personal and professional growth. Without them, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I am so grateful. I'm that grateful for this organization where I don't know where I'd be without having met them, without having participated, without them having reached out to me, without them having come into my life at the perfect time. So please, I encourage you to check them out. At the very least, like their page and go support them in any way you can. Thank you. That's it. I'm going to wrap this up, and I will get back to this tomorrow morning.